Now, the first of this week's special programmes from the Royal Show. Live from Stoneleigh, Midlands today with Alan Towers and Kay Alexander.
Hello, a warm welcome, a very warm welcome indeed, I can tell you, from the National Agricultural Centre at Stoneleigh. We're live here today for the Royal Show.
We've been delighted to welcome hundreds of people who've dropped in here to see us at the BBC studio.
But of course this show's not only about sheep, pigs and cattle, it's about all of those things, very much so. But visitors here over the years have found many things to interest the whole family.
The first day of the show is probably the longest, when organisers and exhibitors are putting the finishing touches to stands and getting the livestock ready for showing. Judging begins at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we were out and about very early to see the start of the day. Jim Buchanan reports.
Radio 2.
4 o'clock news time. The streets of the
4 in the morning and the Royal Showground is ready to play host to farmers from every corner of the world. This is the event in the farming calendar, and no effort is spared to preserve its reputation. At first light, the showground slowly awakes. There's much to be done before thousands of visitors stream through the gates. The usual morning rituals still have to be scrupulously carried out, mindful of the discerning public who'll cast a critical eye, and the even more discerning judges.
It's just like an athlete or whatever you like. You've got to keep them fit, you've got to keep them clean. Keep them clean, you keep them healthy.
What sort of prizes are you hoping to win?
Well, we'll be very grateful for what we can get. We've had a good summer up to now. He's been champion at the 3 counties and champion at Newark. And because of that, we've got a fair lot of interest in him from abroad.
How much is she given?
This is about just over 3 gallon.
Is that good?
Yes, it's a good average for a heifer. She'll give about 2.5 tonight, so that's 5 to 6 gallon a day she's giving.
It all looks lovely, warm.
Oh, it's lovely, creamy stuff. Yeah, very nice.
For this caravan city, agricultural shows are as much a part of summer as moaning about the weather. Many of the people asleep here have come down from the Highland Show and will trek on to the Royal Welsh in a fortnight. Farmers always have their problems. There's a Chernobyl cloud which has sent lamb prices tumbling, and the deadly swine fever which has caused the destruction of thousands of pigs. Visitors are tactfully asked to be aware of the problem. Such things, though, don't worry this grand lady out in her morning constitutional. She's showing tomorrow, but has a look of quiet confidence.
We normally take them out to exercise before they're fed. When we're shown the same at home, probably 3 or 4 times a day.
How much exercise does she need?
I don't know, about 20 minutes a day, but they have it in 3 or 4, split up into 3 or 4 different times.
It's not just swine fever that can spell doom for a prize pig. Each day of the show, 500 stockmen and show workers will come here for breakfast, consuming 560 pounds of bacon and 9,000 eggs. By 7 o'clock, the stockmen are out in force at the start of what can sometimes be a 20-hour day. But the rewards are substantial too. No trophies or rosettes carry more prestige than those won at the Royal. By 8 o'clock, the crowds are descending in force at Stoneleigh. They've come to see the best of British agriculture and do deals worth millions of pounds. The Royal does not disappoint.
Jim Buchanan up before the showground was aired this morning. Well, the Russian agriculture minister, the Soviet agriculture minister, was touring the Royal Show today after meeting with his British counterpart, Michael Jopling. But the Russian minister refused to be drawn into discussing compensation for British sheep farmers after the nuclear disaster at Chernobyl. Steve Lee reports.
The Soviet delegation was in no mood for talking about Chernobyl today, least of all to newsmen who tried to follow their erratic itinerary. Fezyevlot Morakovsky, the senior agriculture minister, through an interpreter, said the 5-man delegation was there to look at farming technology, not to discuss politics. But that will hardly satisfy sheep farmers who've been hit by a prices slump caused by a ban on the slaughter and movement of lambs in Wales, the northwest and Scotland. While the Soviets were clearly saying niet, their British counterparts were talking, although somewhat diplomatically.
I think that we just ought to let the dust settle. I think that we just ought to look at the thing in the broadest sense of international law and decide then whether we ought to make approaches with regard to compensation or not. But I think, to be fair to Mr. Murakowski, you must realise that this isn't really his problem at home. If we should decide to act in that way, clearly it would be a matter for the Foreign Office in Moscow and not the Minister of Agriculture in Moscow.
Clearly the Soviet delegation will not escape questions about compensation on their week-long visit. It seems likely Mr. Joplin will meet them for more formal talks in a few days' time.
Well, that's just one of the stories to come out of the Royal Show here today. And there'll be more, of course, later.
But let's catch up on the rest of the day's news with separate bulletins for the East and the West Midlands.
Good evening. As you may have seen in the national news, a West Midlands policeman has gone on trial accused of killing a 5-year-old Birmingham boy. The trial of PC Brian Chester started today at Stafford Crown Court. PC Chester, from the Tactical Firearms Squad, denies the manslaughter of John Shorthouse, who was shot during a police raid on his home at Kings Norton last August. 3 people have died in a car crash near Cirencester. The car with 4 people inside left the A429 at Foss Bridge and crashed into a stone wall. The 3 who died were aged between 18 and 20, and all the occupants of the car worked together at a Cirencester hotel. 22-year-old Andrew Clark, the only survivor, is in hospital at Cheltenham. At Tipton, 19 people had to be taken to hospital after inhaling chemical fumes. It happened at the John Stokes factory in Princess End High Street when a quantity of sulphuric acid was mixed with hydrochloric acid. Those affected by the fumes were taken to hospital in Samwell, where they were released after treatment. A man is in hospital after being stabbed during a bank robbery in Birmingham. 3 men attacked him as he delivered cash to the Midland Bank in Soho Road. They escaped with an undisclosed amount of cash. The injured man was taken to Dudley Road Hospital. A 39-year-old man from Stoke-on-Trent has become the first person to receive laser beam treatment in a heart operation. The father of 2 is recovering in a Sheffield hospital and is expected to return home soon. Birmingham City Council's Housing Repairs Department is being disrupted by a strike over regrading involving 75 staff. Clerks want an additional £20 a week. Supervisors are claiming an extra 17. Staffordshire County Council has announced it's to spend £56 million over the next 2 years to create jobs. The council leader, Bill Austin, says the money will be spent on building work, better roads, vehicles and equipment. Police in Shropshire have issued a warning to canoeists following the death of a man on the River Severn near Telford. The canoeist, who came from Kent, overturned after his craft struck a concrete block. The obstruction was in a stretch of the river at Jackfield, and canoeists have been warned to be extra careful. Birmingham's bid to stage the 1992 Olympic Games has been given a £100,000 boost. The Mayor of Solihull presented a cheque to the Lord Mayor of Birmingham today. It came from Solihull Council's budget for last year, which was underspent. Birmingham will use the money to pay for a 60-minute submission to the International Olympic Committee in October. Council officials in Cheltenham are worried that vandals could spoil the town's chances of keeping the Britain in Bloom award, which it won last year. And they've called for the public to be on the lookout for vandals wrecking flower beds. In the latest incident, £200 worth of flower baskets were damaged, and so far this summer, vandals have cost the council several £1,000s. The Chief Constable of Warwickshire, Peter Jocelyn, has criticised county councillors for not providing enough money to pay for more police officers. The extra £50,000 a year will pay for only 8 more police constables, 30 less than the number that had been agreed by the police committee. Well, unless you've been on another planet for the last 24 hours, you must know now that Argentina won the World Cup. Well, Argentina certainly has some superb footballers, but the country's cricket team, currently playing in the Midlands, could perhaps do with its own Maradona.
A long way from the seething crowds of Buenos Aires and the emotion of Mexico, the cricketers of Argentina were playing in the other World Cup today, the ICC Trophy at Warmley near Sutton Coldfield. Their opponents today, Kenya, who batted first in this 9th round match and made 228 all out. But today's result is immaterial. Argentina will finish near the bottom of their division and therefore go out of this year's competition. Footballers to beat the world, perhaps, but cricket in South America is still short of a Botham or two. But the Argentine cricketers won't mind too much. They'll soon be home to revel in the national celebrations after their country's footballing triumph.
Well, staying with cricket, and 2 Midland players have been drafted into England's squad to meet India in the 3rd Test at Edgbaston on Thursday. Wayne Larkins of Northants, who's been out of form for his county, joins Worcestershire bowler Neil Radford in the reshuffled lineup. Radford's taken 42 wickets this season. An 80-year-old Redditch woman went to Austin Rovers Longbridge plant today for a very special trip down memory lane. Davina Reynolds explains.
Trudy Freckleton worked at the plant during the war, when aircraft rather than cars rolled off the production line. She left in 1944, but her presence has been felt ever since. For in 1943, Trudy posed for the war artist Dame Laura Knight. She was in the forefront of an oil painting, which has graced the wall for more than 40 years. Today, Trudy was presented with a colour print of the original by Austin Rovers Operations Director Bill Hall. Trudy started work at Longbridge in 1940 and supervised training in the tail-end section of the Stirling aircraft production line. Today was her first visit back to her old workplace, now changed almost beyond recognition.
A part-time model from Kenilworth has presented carnival organisers in Stratford-upon-Avon and Leamington Spa with a problem. Jane Collier has been chosen as the carnival queen for both towns, but their parades are being held on the same day. Jane doesn't want to choose between the two. She wants to keep both titles. Well, that's it from me. Now let's go back to Alan and Kay at the Royal Show.
Welcome back. Of course, the Royal has always been the place to see the very best of livestock, and it's not unusual to see farmers here also taking a look at the excellent range of mechanical aids to help them on their farms. Of course, also, orders worth many millions of pounds are often clinched at the Royal Show, and you can bet that Midlands farmers want to be in on those deals.
A cheeky reminder that Fergie was the nickname for the tractor to which Harry Ferguson gave his name when production began at Coventry exactly 40 years ago. In 1946, as the world's farmers looked towards mechanisation, you could sell everything which could be built. It was a seller's market.
One of the things in 1946, when this tractor was built, was the fact that all of the horsepower in Europe had pretty well been literally eaten up. And therefore, for Europe and for North America, there was a wide open market for tractors of this type just to provide basic horsepower. Of course, in those days, also in 1946, this tractor was pretty unique. It had the Ferguson hydraulic system, the 3-point linkage system, which transferred the weight of the implement to the rear wheels. That was a significant innovation developed by Harry Ferguson, unique to this kind of tractor, and he had patent protection on that for several years.
To mark their 40th anniversary of production in Coventry, this firm has brought a small section of its automated production line to the showground. Production methods have had to move with the times, and the whole picture has changed, so that now, instead of a handful of manufacturers, there are around 30 major tractor makers competing for business with farmers who expect much longer service from the increasingly complex machines they pay for.
Well, of course, this tractor, when it was made in 1946, only had one specification: 3-speed transmission, 2-wheel drive, a footstep, and that was it. Today, in the same factory, we make 7 basic models: 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, an 8-speed transmission, 12-speed, multi-power transmission, footstep, platform, cab, rollover protection system. The variety that's crept in is enormous to match the requirements of the farmer.
And changing all the time.
And changing all the time toward more and more complexity as the farmer becomes more and more specialized.
A computer in the combine harvester cab is now becoming commonplace as the British agricultural machinery makers try to keep ahead in the marketplace, where the competition is hotting up all the time.
And that report was by Geoffrey Green. Now, for farmers exhibiting at the Royal Show, it's a very important event. It acts as a sort of advertisement for stock, a place to see and be seen by potential customers. Well, I went to meet a Warwickshire farmer who has a small herd of a rare Midland breed of cattle to see just what goes into getting animals ready to show. Oh, John, that's a very handsome cow and calf. What are their names?
Well, the cow is called Gorse Oxeye. Gorse, they're all called Gorse, that's our prefix. And the calf is Gorse Trumpeter.
Well, why do you keep longhorns, John?
Well, I've always had an interest in these unusual breeds. I say unusual, they're commercially quite viable. We've always done very well with them. It seems a pity to let these breeds die out. It would be a very dull world if all the cattle were the same.
Well, a show like the Royal must require an awful lot of preparation as far as the animals are concerned. How do you go about it, John?
Well, of course, the first preparation, the first part of it is the feeding, and it's no good starting 5 minutes before the show. We've had our eyes on showing this cow this summer, or going back till just after Christmas when she was brought indoors.
But what's Joshua actually doing at the moment?
Well, being a horned breed, and of course with a name like the Longhorns, the horns are important, and they're a very attractive feature of the breed. And he will have scraped those horns down to scrape away all the scratches and scuff marks that she's picked up over the winter.
And then do you oil the horns, make them shiny, do they?
And then eventually, just before the actual showing, he'll rub in some paraffin wax just to give it a final patina. The next thing is to wash the cow and get her clean right down to the skin. This is, in fact, I suppose, a courtesy to the judge, as well as showing off the animal to its best advantage. And then put on shampoo, and then wash that out again. It's rather like you washing your hair.
You mean you owe it all to Head and Shoulders?
That's it. And then, of course, once it's dry, it'll all be brushed up. And various cattlemen have various secret ingredients that they put on as a final sort of setting lotion, if you might say.
Now, are you going to take Trumpeter into the ring with her?
Oh, indeed, yes. She's shown as a breeding cow, and of course, the better the calf on her, that's what it's all about. She's kept as a breeding cow, and the calf shows what a good cow she is.
And I expect a lot of people stand around and say, oh, isn't he sweet?
Well, I think they're talking about the calf when they say that.
So what are you hoping for at the Royal, then?
Well, we're hoping for a card. We're hoping for a ticket. I wouldn't put it higher than that. The competition's always very hot at the Royal, and it's in the judges' hands, really.
Okay, taking a look at some rare breeds. You know, I've never, in all the years it's been in existence, been able to find my way to that place called Ambridge, but I do know a lot of people who tell me they know exactly where it is. But one thing is sure, that when the Royal Show opens, the archers and all their friends somehow manage to find their way here. They're here every single year. Whoever takes over at Brookfield and the Bull when they're away, I've no idea. But what's this? A young man who's quite evidently...
You're Alan Towers off the television, aren't you?
But I'm only a superstar. You're a megastar. It's Eddie Grundy, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Eddie,
thank
sit
you.
down. Wonderful.
Hello,
wonderful.
folks.
What are you doing at the Royal?
Well, I'm doing what most farmers like me are doing, and that's going round the beer tents.
Had a good time today?
I have. I've been to 5. They're open all day.
All day long?
Yeah, great, isn't it? Here it was. I came out of one. There's this little boy there, and he was crying his heart out. And I went up to him, and I said, what's wrong with you? He says, I've lost me daddy. And I said, don't worry, what's he like? And he says, he likes women and beer. Women and... Sid Perks told me that.
That's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't applaud. Hey, that's a good joke.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Now, look, this hat has become a feature of Eddie Grundy, and that somehow links with your singing career. Are you still a singer?
Yeah, I am. In fact, I'm a great singer. I shall be singing here tomorrow with a spectacular archer show. And this is my hat with horns. It's my virility symbol. It makes me realise and think I am somebody special. I've been walking around all day and no one's recognised me.
That's a problem with radio, though.
Terrible, isn't it? Honestly.
What are the archers going to be doing here tomorrow?
We're doing this show, and there's old miserable Phil Archer, and stuck-up Brian Aldridge. Now, Elizabeth Archer, she's a cracker, she's going to be there, and Jill Archer and Jennifer Aldridge. And we're doing a wonderful show, and I'm going to sing one of my greatest hit records.
And what's that one?
That's Poor Pig.
But you've made a record of that already, haven't you?
Well, that's right.
How many did you sell?
Oh,
couple of dozen?
54, I think.
54,
yes.
So the archers actually do put a show on here, don't they?
That's right.
I mean, do you actually record any episodes here at the Royal Show, or is it purely for the public?
Well, it's purely for the public, and it really is going to be something quite special.
What's special about it? Can you give any secrets away at this stage?
Well, all I'm going to say is there's something to do with fairy tets. that might really stun the nation, I reckon.
Ferret heads? You're not going to do a trick with ferrets, are you?
Oh no, they're live.
Nothing down your trousers?
Oh no, they're girls. Very attractive girls.
Not ferrets,
My
ferret
backing
heads.
group, you see.
And this is your backing group?
Oh yeah, you bet they
So
will.
if people turn up at the Royal Show tomorrow, they can see Eddie Grundy, the Ferretettes, and a live performance.
And a live performance.
I think that's marvellous. Eddie Grundy, actor Trevor Harrison, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you, folks.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's go and join Terry.
Well, over here, I've got a real live weatherman, Bill Giles. Bill, it's lovely to see you here. Why are you at the Royal Show?
I'm like Eddie. I go around the beer tents. No, no, we've got a stand for the Met Office up here.
Well, what happens on this stand?
Well, we show you all the services that we offer. We offer a lot of services to farmers and many other people now. We're much more commercially minded than we used to be. So we're up here to sell the services.
Are there any other famous weathermen like you here?
No. They're all back looking after the shop. You've just seen John Ketley. Ian's on a couple of days off and Mike's on breakfast time. So that's us.
Well, it's very nice to see. How long have you been a weatherman? Well, with the sound effects in the background.
I think about 12 years, something like that. I've been on television for about 12 years, on and off.
Have you really? Why are there no women weather women?
It's very difficult to get them, but I'm well known, as you probably know, for saying that I'm really looking for a woman. So we are looking for them, but they're difficult to come by.
Is it a profession that naturally attracts men then, do you think?
Yes, I think it is. We have to work all hours God created, and the ladies don't normally like working in central London 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and I don't blame them either.
Well, let's get down to brass tacks, as they say, and is this lovely hot weather going to continue?
The answer is yes and no. I think tonight it's going to be quite a humid sort of night. I think in the north and the west of the Midlands there might be the odd shower about, but really not too much. And then overnight, I think most places dry, rather cloudy. A very, very humid night tonight with a minimum of about 12 Celsius. Tomorrow morning, a lot of low cloud around, I think, to start with, but then we're going to get some sunshine, but I think some sunshine in the afternoon continuing reasonably sunny, 1 or 2 showers around, chiefly in the east, but not as humid as today, and the outlook, I think, is not too bad. Some sunshine, 1 or 2 showers, but nowhere near as humid as we've had.
Well, actually, that's quite a relief, because it's extremely hot in here, isn't it, Alan?
It's extremely hot indeed. I'm sorry I'm standing up above you like that. Hello, Bill. Nice to... I don't think
This is Alan.
No, we haven't.
I think you're marvellous on that telly. How you remember all those weathers, I've no idea, because, you know, we do it ourselves in the regions, don't we?
Yes, you do, yes. Well, we're lucky. We see it in the, you know, in the camera, and we've got a little clicker.
And no, the little clicker's interesting, because you have that little thing in your finger. You're able to change all the maps as you want, aren't you?
Yes, it's just like a slideshow, just as boring as your holiday slides. We can press a button and change it. And if it's Ian, you change 3.
Well, that's it now. And thanks for being with us, and thanks to all of you for staying with us, and thanks for you for viewing us. We're here for the rest of the week. Midlands Today will be showing you something of the Royal Show, but for now, from us all, and from Stoneleigh, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Did you manage to pick your...